Oh yes, you're welcome back to African Colonization TV and Biafran History. Today's video will go a little deep concerning the Fulanis, how they came into Nigeria, West African, and how they take control over the north, over the Hausa land, and all over Nigeria. Mostly this issue of jihad, because some people they don't understand what it means. They don't understand what is jihad. Sometimes when you see people coming out, they'll start claiming that jihad is just to strive, it's just to strive, just to do this, just to do that. It is good to for somebody to understand what it means before you start clapping for them, saying yes, they are trying. In fact, in this video is a exposure of a lot of things, of a lot of secrets, and how those people started, and why anywhere they find themselves, they'll be trying every means to take control, to take in charge of other tribes. In fact, by force, with the region, once they come, they'll be coming in a good way, trying to paint themselves good, but at the end, they have a target. They have a target. That is why you see Mazam Kano is the only person that have the brain, that know what those people knows, and that is why when he came start preaching against them, giving a truth speech about them, then the next thing, the Nigerian government, they start finding it very difficult because they know what it means. And who are the government? The government are them. They are the government who occupy every seat, every position, and every power in Nigeria. So according to the headline, they say the beginning of jihad in Africa and Fulani history in Nigeria. Hidden secret finally exposed. How Fulani conquer the Hausa's people and take over. So, in fact, it's a very interesting history, just a little story, very, very interesting. It's very good for everyone to listen to it and to understand what is really happening in Nigeria. As you're about to watch, like, subscribe, and make sure you share it. Let it get to everyone.
Hi everyone, Tunde here, and welcome back to the Africa History channel, where we bring to you snippets of African history from the perspective of Africans themselves. Today, we start a new series where we will explore the history of one of the transnational peoples of Africa, the Fulani, their jihads, and the states they created across West Africa. Now let's get started. Different Fulani states rose and lasted from the late 1400s to the early 1900s, when the biggest of them fell to the Europeans as they colonized Africa. The series will take us on an epic journey all over West Africa and even touch on how a certain Fulani slave cost a US president his re-election. While they are called different names depending on where in West Africa they are: Fulo, Pule, Pula, Pola, Hapula, Takolos, Fulbe, Fula, Felata. I've chosen to stick with how they mostly self-identify, Fulbe, and how they are identified by the Hausa in my native Nigeria, Fulani, in this series. For most people, when we talk about the Fulani jihads and the states that they formed, it is the most successful of these states, the Sokoto Caliphate, that spanned parts of northern Nigeria, southern Niger Republic, and northern Cameroon, founded by Uthman Danfodio in 1804, and which lasted for about 99 years until it fell to the British in 1903. That comes to the minds of most people. But Sokoto was only one of the Fulani Islamic states founded in West Africa. It was neither the first nor was it the last. There were at least 6 Fulani Islamic states, as well as one that was non-Islamic, over a nearly 400-year period that lasted from late 1400s into the early 1900s in the area from the western coast of modern-day Senegambia all the way to what is today Cameroon. This area is what roughly coincides with the Sahel today. The first Fulani state recorded was known as the Empire of the Great Fulu, a befitting name, established by a warrior known as Tengela in 1490. It was non-Muslim Fulani, and the ruling dynasty, which was also non-Muslim Fulani, was known as the Dayanke, and their state lasted all the way into 1776, when the Dayanke rulers would be overthrown by their increasingly Muslim Fula subjects under the influence of the Islamic scholarly Fulani clan known as the Torodbe, to establish the third of the Fulani jihadi states in the Futatoro area. In the area of West Africa, where the Fulani would come to hold sway, prior to the 1500s, they lived under a series of great empires. These empires grew rich from controlling the key southern reaches of the trans-Saharan trade in gold, salts, slaves, and other items, as well as control of gold and salt mines in the West Africa area. These empires were founded by Mande groups such as the Sonike, Mandinka, Soso, and Bambara. Traders brought Islam to these empires, and in some of them, the ruling elite also became Muslims. Each time these empires became very rich, the Arab Berber states to the north would eventually come down in multiple raids that ended up fragmenting the states. But the economic and geopolitical fundamentals of the flat, fertile plain of the area, drained by one of the biggest rivers in the world, the Great Niger River, was such that in no time a new empire would emerge, rising from one of the subject states of the previous empire after an intense struggle among these fragments. Many of the biggest cities followed the banks of the Niger. Timbuktu, the ancient seat of trade and learning called the crown jewel of the Sahel, was at the northern bend of the Niger River. And Gao, which became the capital of the largest of these Sahelian empires, the Songhai, also started as a fishing village on the banks of the Niger. The first empire with extensive records in the area was the Great Ghana Empire, or as they call themselves, the Wagadu Empire, founded by the Sonike people, with their capital in the twin city of Kumbi Saleh. It was located primarily in present-day Mauritania and Western Mali, and not in the modern country of Ghana that inherited its name. It lasted from around the year 300 until the year 1077, when it was sacked by the Almoravids of Morocco under Abubakar ibn Umar. A key piece of information with regards to this episode from the Ghana period is the record of the languages they spoke in the empire. These included Sonike, the language of the ruling dynasty, Arabic, which was the language of trade in the period, Malinke, Mande, and of course Fulfude, as recorded by Ibn Khaldun, the Arab historian and adventurer who visited the area in the 1300s just after the collapse of Ghana. Fulfude, as we know, is the language of the Fulani. We can therefore conclude that as early as in the days of the Ghana Empire, the Fulani were already a significant ethnic group in the area. In addition, around the same time Ghana flourished, the relatively small state of Takro lay to its west. The leaders were Fulani. It was contemporary to Ghana, but it would outlast the Ghana Empire. Takro was the origin of people in the area calling some branches of Fulani Takolo. After the fall of the Ghana Empire, the Almoravids did not stay long. Immediately, the empire's constituents began a struggle to occupy the vacuum its collapse had left. Another Mande group, the Soso, led by Sumaro Kante, came to dominate the area, occupying the Ghanaian capital of Kumbi Saleh and ruling from there. But their dominance will not last for long. In 1235, a third Mande group, we now call the Mandinka, who were not ready to accept the harsh rule of the Soso, and so they recalled their exiled prince, Sundiata Keita, to lead them to freedom. He returned and organized the Mandinka, entering into a pact with the warlords he met in the Mandinka heartland in the plain of Sibi to take on the Soso. Sundiata's Mandinka coalition met with Sumaro in the Battle of Kirina in the same year, 1235, and the Mandinka won, establishing the now famous Mali Empire. The story is recorded in the Epic of Sundiata, still sung by griots in Mali. The empire lasted in its imperial form from this period until the early 1500s, when other rising states began to chip away at its territory. While a diminished Mali would continue up till 1670, when its capital, Niani, would eventually be burnt down. These ascendant states began to take preeminence from the early 1500s. Crucially, it will be the first time that non-Mande peoples will take the lead in empire building in the area. Two of these states are of interest to our Rise of the Fulani People story. The first we have already met, the Fulani-led non-Islamic Great Fulu Empire that was established in 1490 under the Denyanke dynasty. The second emerged from a fishing village which we have already also talked about, Gao. And this empire, the Songhai, was established by Soni Ali in 1464 as Mali began to weaken. The Songhai would go on to become the largest of these West African Sahelian empires, stretching from the western Atlantic coast of West Africa in present-day Senegambia all the way to the Hausa-speaking states in present-day northern Nigeria and as far north as Mauritania. We will return to Songhai as we proceed in the series. For now, let's stay with the Great Fulu Empire. The empire began when the Fulani nomads, led by Tengela, left their homeland in the Futa Jalon highlands and migrated northwards into the fertile Futa Toro area. They were driven first by the desire to escape their overbearing Mande Jalonke overlords and the opportunity to take land from the now weakened Mali Empire, attacking and occupying its most western portions that bordered the Atlantic coast. Tengela used the same title the Mali rulers used, Mansa, and styled himself after them, perhaps signifying that he saw himself as their successor. He would go on to clash with another rising power that we mentioned earlier, the Songhai, who were also former Mali subjects. Unfortunately, he was killed in battle against Songhai in 1512. His son, Koli Tengela, succeeded him, ruling from this time until 1537. He was successful against another people there, the Wolof of the Jollof Empire to the south of the Great Fulu Empire. It is this Jollof Empire we get the name of a favorite dish across West Africa, jollof rice, from. Taking advantage of the internal fractures amongst these Wolof, Koli Tengela took their lands in Futa Toro, in present-day Senegal, to expand his domain. Part of Koli's justification, of course, was that this land had originally belonged to the small Fulani-led Takro states, which we mentioned earlier, which the Jollof Empire had taken it from. However, when he tried to take advantage of ongoing dynastic struggles and civil war in the now dominant Songhai Empire to take over Mali's Bambuk goldfields to the southeast, he would be defeated by the Songhai, and like his father, he will be killed in battle. In spite of this, however, the animist Great Fulu would maintain their independence from the Songhai, only ceding a small strip of land that gave the Songhai access to the Atlantic coast. When the Fulani that established the Great Fulu arrived in Futa Toro, they met another clan of Fulani already present there. This clan was known as the Torodbe, a contraction of Toro Fulbe, or sometimes they were called the Torunkawa, further to the west in Hausa land. They had taken up Islam under the Ghana Empire from about the 900s and up until the 1500s. By the 1500s, when their animist conquering brethren arrived, the Torodbe had been Muslims for about 600 years. In this time, they had become a clan of Islamic clerics, patterned after the Zawaya clan that had emerged earlier amongst the northern Arab and Berber tribes based in Mauritania, who had originally brought Islam to the area. The warrior class in the Great Fulu, who were mostly animists, looked down on these bookish scholars who preferred to live on charity. They would say of the Torodbe, if the begging calabash did not exist, the Torodbe would not survive. They would be very, very wrong. The Torodbe may have been remnants of the Takro, who remained in the region after their state declined. These literate and educated Torodbe clerics bristled under the rule of their animist brethren in the Great Fulu Empire for nearly 200 years, until the 1670s, when they became involved in the revolt of their northern Zawaya clerical counterparts in modern-day Mauritania against the Arab Berber warrior class there. The revolt of the Zawaya precipitated from years of oppression and heavy taxation by this warrior class, in spite of both being Muslims and from the Arab Berber stock. The Zawaya were initially successful in 1673, but they were ultimately defeated in 1674 by the forces of Hassan of Ida Aish in Mauritania. Most of the Torodbe that had fought on the side of the Zawaya in this jihad returned to their homes in Futatoro, determined to emulate their Zawaya colleagues and carry out revolutionary jihad in the Great Fulu Empire to free the Muslim Fulani from the rule of their animist Fulani overlords. The first of these jihads would occur in 1677, only 3 years after they returned, with Zawaya support. However, this attempt would fail woefully, and the Torodbe would be soundly defeated by the animist warrior class. The defeat led to a dispersal of the Torodbe far and wide across the area, carrying the ideas of Islamic jihad and the lessons from their failed attempt at establishing an Islamic state through jihad. 13 years later, they will try again, and this time they will not fail. In the next episode, we enter the period of the first of the successful Fulani Islamic states.
Oh yes. This our brother, he has explained everything the way it is, and he has, in fact, hit the hammer on the nail, the way the whole thing is happening, and that is why you are seeing today they want to turn Nigeria to become Islamized. They want to do every means to make sure that everybody believe in their own region. No matter how, whatever you see, the governments may come out and they tell you they are the government, and they are using tactics to get whatever they want to get. Imagine if they have already conquered the north for almost 99 years before the British now take over. Then how many years Nigerian have stayed? Nigeria has not even up to 70 years since then till now, but they have already conquered the north for almost 99 years, almost 100 years before the British now take over from them, and they now start ruling till now. And that is why you see the whole north, none of them can speak. This one that came out just recently start saying that they want everybody to recognize them as Hausas, and everybody to recognize the Fulanis as Fulanis. They are not brothers. All of them is just to say it is something that cannot happen. And then right from immemorial, they have been ruling the north. They have been ruling the north. They have been doing everything, and they have been making sure to conquer any zone, any area, any country they find themselves. All of them is in this episode, which we gave to you just now. And in fact, a lot is happening, and that is why you see the country is not stable, because once they come, they are coming with their aim. They are coming with some idea. They are coming with that ideology to make sure that they turn everybody away from what is really happening and what is really going on. Just imagine what is happening in Yoruba land, the way it is. It has started happening. Fulani Yorubas. Just listen and watch by yourself.
People are not noticing what is going on. That they now have an identity called Yoruba Fulani.
Yoruba Fulani.
Yes.
The Fulanis that came to Yoruba land.
Yes, that's Yoruba Fulani we go to Ogbomoso, Igboho, Upper Ogun, Ilorin. They are now creating an identity called the Yoruba Fulani. It used to be Islamic identity. But they now say, okay, we are Fulani Yoruba.
They are Fulanis, but most of them were born in Yoruba land.
Yes. But you know, that concept of Fulani Yoruba, they are trying to separate it from Yoruba identity.
That was the Fulani Yoruba that Sunday Igboho attacked.
The Fulani ate men. The Fulani that were attacking the forests. That was the one he was attacking.
But again, some of them that were uprooted were Fulanis that were born in Yoruba land.
So,
they lived there.
Correct, but they used to self-identify as Muslims. You understand? But now they've added a second layer now. Muslims first, and now Fulani Yoruba. It's just growing now.
When Ottoman Danfodio came, did he come with Islamization?
Yes, he came with Islamization. What people call today, whether Fulanization, whether the forceful taking over Fulani people, and so on and so forth. But in a nutshell, it is Islamization. Now, oh my goodness, IPT Yoruba people, especially that of Kwara State, going to your Ogbomoso side. Yeah, everybody saw it coming, you know. People that talk, people that hated, the people that were outspoken, they did to their own detriment. And now what is going on is that there is no way out. Yeah. When I mean that there is no way out, there is no way out. Let's talk about this. Do you remember that time? I'm just someone who is still under 40, but I still know the time they were saying Hausa Fundani that time. Nobody will come out to say I'm a Fulani man now. Hausa Fundani. But before we know, nothing like Hausa Fundani. See, if you're a Fulani person, I'm not saying this against you. I'm saying it against the reality. This is the reality on ground. So I don't have anything against you as a person or as a group, but I have a problem with the cultural maneuver of taking people's place, dominating people illegally, to say, trying to wipe away cultures and values of people through ethnic cleansing. This is against natural justice and equity, and it is going to be something that will not end well. It won't end well. There is no how you will come and continue to kill people and so on and so forth. I understand. I have Fulani friends, you know. I used to say this to their own face. I tell them the reality, like, I don't hide things to people. That is the kind of person I am. I speak truth to your face, no matter whom you are. So if I can even talk to God the way my mind is, who is a human being for me not to talk to? So the reality here is that the Yoruba people must have to be very careful. You see what is going on in the north, it will happen in Yoruba land. And I've not seen something that will stop it. The only person who was trying to stop it was Sunday Igboho, but he have not joined APC, because I saw him putting on APC cap, going for where there are meetings and so on and so forth. Whether he's just doing it for Tinubu to pass out before he will start again, or I don't know. But that is a compromise, okay, for me. That is what I perceive a compromise. Now, Nigeria is already under pressure to collapse. But some people are happy about it. Every Boko Haram attack, some people are happy about it. Now, you see, the video you just watched is from Edward Obindo. So you have to go to his YouTube channel and watch the full video. Okay? Go and watch the full video. So, you see, the truth is bitter. We must say it. Nnamdi Kanu warned Yoruba people about this. They warned them about this. But what pains me most was what Obasanjo did. If I remember what Obasanjo did when he ordered soldiers to start shooting OPC, the Oduduwa People's Congress, the OPC, was like a resistant force against this infiltration of Fulanis. Yeah, it was a resistant force, not a resistant force to kill them, not a resistant force to not to allow them to come to Rwanda, no. A resistant force for them not to remove the Oba of Benin and put an emir in Kwara State. Like Obi of Onitsha. You came to Onitsha as a foreigner, as a Fulani man, you removed the Obi of Onitsha and you put an emir of Onitsha. That was what OPC people were fighting against. And Obasanjo, Bubak and Adima, Buhari, they forced Obasanjo that if you want to come back again, you've got to, ask military to stop these people. So Obasanjo declared that military should start shooting the Oduduwa People's Congress people aside, just like what they did to, Biafra dictators. They used their own person, Obasanjo, to do it. They use Southeast governors against their own people. It won't end well. Look at Kwara State today. Half of the landmass in Kwara State is under terrorist control. They take control over it. I want people time to come. Like time will come, people will begin to see the effects of not listening to the truth. No problem. We still have time to prove the reality to people. So allow people who are deceiving you to continue to deceive you. Allow them. Calm down. Don't worry. Okay? Just allow them to continue to deceive you. Allow them to be motivating you into fire. That all is well. That the way is that we should fight for this, do this, do this. See, Many people already know the problem right now, that the problem is Islamization of Nigeria. Well, the question is, how many people are ready to resist? How many people are ready to resist this? How many people will come out? You see why I'm laughing? I'm sorry to digress a little. Why I'm laughing? Despite I know that the political regime change is never the solution to Nigerian problem. But I was expecting, because I used to study different countries of the world. If, for example, immigration is the problem of America, the next president will campaign through immigration. During Joe Biden administration, immigration was becoming a problem in America. Bringing drugs, bringing people trooping in. Trump used it to campaign and he defeated Joe Biden. This is what people should think. This is what people should think. Now, I was expecting that someone will come out as a president, a presidential candidate, that what I'm going to do if I win as a president is to divide Nigeria. If we see anybody that comes out, Ayokocha Happy must say, I will support the person. You know why? I know that the person have the solution. Not jargons. People are just parading, making noise in the name of I want to become president. President of which country? Is there any country left? You are joking. I needed someone who knows the problem of Nigeria. If anybody comes out today, you are a House of Rep member, you're a senator, you said, my purpose of going to the Abuja is to fight for the division of Nigeria, to bring a bill. You, by having it as an intention, you get my support automatic. Because that is the only solution. That is just the only solution. If I have any presidential candidate that will come out and say that if I win as Nigerian president, I will make sure Nigeria will be divided. Okay? Through a referendum or through, national conference, anyhow. If I see someone who will come out and have such manifesto, I will support the person. We'll support the person strategically. And we will deploy technology to support the person. By all means. You understand? Even though he's not going to win, but that will be a message. That will be a message. People are playing games. People are just playing games. Nobody, until I see a manifesto of a presidential candidate, that my purpose is to make sure I divide Nigeria. I'm not even seeing the one that is close to it. If I win as a president, I will return Nigeria to regional government. Oh, you think if you do that, that is, if you see any candidate that will come out to say this, that is when you will know that Nigerians have been waiting for that. They will just disembark from this bandwagon ships they are following. They will troop into the person's, wagon. Why? Because that is the solution. Imagine if Yoruba have been Oduduwa nation right from time, after 1914. What is going on there will never happen. You see what is going on in Nigeria? It is not happening in Cotonou. They are trying it in Cotonou. It's not working. They tried it in Ghana. It's not working. Why? Because they are sovereign states. They are sovereign state, territorial integrity. But in Nigeria, they are unable to do that because Abuja is dangerous. The terrorist sponsors are there in Abuja, empowering people in the bush to push and push for Islamization. Anyway, it's funny, Fulani Yoruba. But you see it as a joke, right? Shh, it's not a joke. And don't joke with it.
Well, you see, people don't know what Sharia is all about. First of all, Sharia is principles.
Do you think Nigeria should become a Sharia nation?
That is my ambition, and that is the ambition of every Muslim in this country.
So, as a leader, governor, chairman, president, you are expected to run your affairs with the dictates of Sharia. So, as a leader, governor, chairman, president, you are expected to run your affairs with the dictates of Sharia.
Item 62 says National Assembly shall not make any law that affects Islamic law. This second schedule. So this amendment is against second schedule, item 60.
Well, you see, people don't know what Sharia is all about. First of all, Sharia is principles and practice. Sharia.
Oh yes, then you all have seen everything that is going on. Thank God that everybody is seeing how all the thing is happening, this is not just ordinary content. It is reality and it is true. And it is coming from the right source, the right people that is in the affair of Nigeria and that understand the government that is in the government. When they tell you that their aim, their plan is to make sure that every area is being occupied, is being ruled with Sharia, it is not just ordinary play. And from the beginning to the end, you all have seen how the history of the Fulani started to come with play, finally conquer and take over and continue. If you don't want them to conquer you, meaning they are going to wipe you out, calling it cleansing. So, in fact, is a lot that is happening. Now they have Fulani Yorubas in the west, and the thing that is going on in the southwest, and the southwest, which Yorubas, the Kwara state, the Ondo state, and many other parts of the west, it is called the same jihad. They are calling it, but for them, for some people that don't understand, they will just take it as a play. You know, as a government, you will not come up openly to tell the citizen what is happening. They used to hide under the carpet, claiming that everything is okay. Everything is not okay because the people that is luring you, they are the same Islam, they are the same Fulanis that is ruling you. Don't mind that as it is now, Tinubu is in power. So tomorrow you don't know who will be in power, and you don't know who is sponsoring all those things. When they are telling you about the kakus, the people that is there holding hand and they making sure that everything is moving, they are the kakus. And who are the kakus? The kakus are the Fulanis, the hierarchy men like this Sultan of Sokoto, Kaduna, former state governors, although he's now battling with Tinubu and the rest of them. But they are not happy because of what they are planning. What they plan already is not what they are expecting from Tinubu. That is why they are not happy with his the system he has been going. Well, in fact, a lot is happening and a lot is still happening. Well, I would like to comment down below. What do you think about the thing going on in Nigeria? Like, subscribe, and share it. Let everyone see things that is going on. We say thank you for watching.